Today we're going to be talking about no drainage. I know, it's crazy, but I have been doing it forever and it's amazing. You should try it. I promise you'll like it. My more recent love is no drainage. And why I like this is because I feel like the roots and plants are just growing so much faster and they just seem to love it because it creates such a little environment in here that it just seems to love being in it. So I'm going to explain how to correctly make this work, as it can go completely sideways if you're not careful. And I will explain that too. I will also show you all of the little knickknacks that I put into my mixes and like the different versions you can. Like there's a cheaper version and then there's a spendier version based on your own, I guess, budget for soil. I know. You really know you're old when you're budgeting for soil and amendments and look forward to it too. It's kind of sad, honestly, but whatever. It used to be vacuums and now it's soil. So I feel like that's better, right? It's not as boring. But anyways, this is a great example right here. This one is one of the options. I have probably, I would say, about 3 different options that you can do for no drainage. And it's totally up to you which ones you like and which ones speak to you, because everyone is different. And no drainage might really not work for you. But I just love the glass feel and I love being able to see my roots. As if you've watched any of my other videos, you know I plant with clear planters. Like, I'm not going to show you it yet because it's so pretty. So hold that thought, okay? But I plant with clear planters so I can see roots and so I can see moisture. Now, a really good benefit with no drainage in glass is you can always see the moisture. You also don't have to water as often, and you also don't have to water as much. It's very easy to maintain if you're patient. And I would just maybe start with a plant you don't really love. And by that, I know we love all our plants, but one you're okay with potentially dying if you do it incorrectly. You won't. I have faith in you, but you never know. I've killed so many plants, most of the time I'm not very confident in my own ability, and I have hundreds of plants in my home. So we've all been there. But let me get started, okay? This mix right here is one of my more older ones that I would do. And I would actually add a tiny bit of soil to it. Now I don't plant with soil. I would say most of the time I don't, because I obviously still do use soil a lot, and I'll show you the soils I love. But for the most part, I don't use soil. But I did in this one. And why you can do that is you just put a little bit, and when I work with soil, I will line the bottom with some sort of, I guess, amendment or substrate. Not really even it's charcoal, or you can do leca, a lava rock of some kind, something to create a cache, as well as to absorb maybe some extra moisture that goes down there that your plant doesn't really need. And that's what this is for, just because there's soil. So I will give it a party shot. And I would say this is the party shot when it's dry. And you should, if you're going to do planting like this, you really need to practice feeling the weight of your planter, because it will sometimes look dry and it's not. But when you lift it up, if it's heavy, then it's got moisture in there. And if it's super light, then it could probably go for some water. And you'll just kind of, and I've said this on other videos before, you become your intuitive planting, if you will, becomes very attuned to you. And it just kind of starts working itself out. I don't know how to explain it, but it does. You kind of get in this really good rhythm of knowing when something needs something and when it doesn't. And it's so hard to explain what I mean by that, but it's like a feeling. It's just magic. Okay, don't question it. It's magic. I know. It's magic. Anyways, So this one does have a little bit of soil in it. I don't see roots yet. This is my Florida Ghost. It did put out this new leaf recently, as you can see, and it's happy. I don't see any tipping, watermarks, absorption of too much water on the tips. You'll usually see that if it's too much moisture and your plant is trying to compensate for that, is trying to get rid of that water. If you're getting your tips are dripping water, it means there's just too much water in its base for it to actually drink to get rid of. So then it just sits in unwanted water and it can wreck your plant. Obviously, it can cause root rot, and there's a whole bunch of other things. But anyway, so I'll show you the stuff you can get if you want it to look magical, and if you don't and you just want to do the basic bitch way, either one works. Either one works. It's really up to you. It really is. So I'm going to put this down and I'm going to show you my next one here. This is my Squaniferum, the fuzzy bee. So this is my fuzzy my philodendron Squaniferum. I can never ever say it. Anyways, he has a spider friend living on him. I'm sorry I wrecked your web. It was just kind of a subconscious action, but I actually like that there's a spider living on him, especially in his little hairs, because maybe it will eat some mites every now and then. I don't know. I have a jumping spider in my cabinet that lives there, and he eats gnats and stuff that are a pain in the ass. So here is another one. You can see the roots here. If it's not a glare, sorry about the glare. I can't really, oh, there. Let me see if I can focus on it. So there you can see the roots. I don't really have a cache basin, but you can really see his roots. And like I was saying, it's a really good way to see if you're overwatering it. Now he's very light, even though you can see moisture, and that can also just be because he's outside. It's very humid. So when you have a little bit of moisture in a humid environment, it's going to release moisture in here, and it's going to make it very humid inside of the actual planter, making it seem like there's water in there, and there might not be enough. So I'm just going to give it like an itty bitty amount, and you can see if I have it, yeah. So I'm just going to give it like an itty bitty bit, and then I will usually watch and make sure. I'll usually watch and make sure that it doesn't settle too much on the bottom, that it's actually absorbing the liquid and not over kneading it, or if there's not too much. I can't like do something and talk at the same time. I feel like a dummy. But anyways, so yeah, so then now you can really see that it's wet. I'm trying to like find the non-glare there. Meh. I think, whatever. Okay, so that's really how you want to water it. It's just a tiny bit, and then watch, tiny bit, and watch, because you don't need a lot. It will slowly absorb it throughout the entire system, and it will do its job. It will. Promise. Promise. Don't overdo it, because then you're going to regret it, and then you're going to say, Taz, you killed my plants. And that one does not have soil in it. It just has very chunky bits, and it is one of the ways that I mentioned. So that was one. The first one was another with soil, and then we have the third way, which is absolutely no soil, but a very bougie, if you will, a bougie way of doing it. Sorry, my ring light is like if you could see. It's super pretty. I mean, and the reason I like this is mainly for the aesthetic appeal. I like seeing the blue and the sparkle in there of the vermiculite and stuff like that. I just watered this guy yesterday, and you can see there's no water accumulated on the bottom, which means he drank what he needed, and he's a good weight where I wouldn't put any more water in here. And his leaves look really good. I wonder if he has bugs. I haven't checked. He doesn't have bugs. That's good. But yeah, he's a more recent repot into no drainage, and he seems to like it. I haven't got a new leaf yet, but it was struggling in its previous setup. So I think it's stunted from that. So it might take a little bit for it to really pick itself back up and start a new leaf. That's Alocasias for you. Ugh, they drive me nuts sometimes. But here's another example of that I grabbed. This guy's actually for sale. But you can see how pretty it is. So you can see the different bits that are in there, and this is the bougie one again. And you can see he's grown this. He was just in here for a couple days, honestly, a week maybe, and his root has already climbed down to the bottom. And this is a Tuba Poense or Poense. He is for sale on Etsy. He's super cute, and it's a top cutting, and this has already started to grow a bit, and we got good aerial roots coming out here, not down here, but up here for sure. He's very cute. And the same thing for this. I just gave him a little bit of water yesterday, but he is in my cabinet, and he's by a fan, and it's humid in there, so technically it doesn't need as much water, but because the fan is so close, it does dry him out pretty quick, so I do have to check him every now and then. And it's such a light planter that it's sometimes hard to tell, so I will have to actually like look at the substrates and make sure that they are not dark and that they're actually drying out, because that's the sign that you need to give it water. And this type of planting, no drainage, is what I think most people, and I call it passive hydro, but I know passive hydro technically has a different meaning, I believe. I think it's just the planting without soil, because I don't think it's full hydroponic, but it's very close. Obviously, passive hydro. But anyways, I keep saying, I'm sorry. It's a habit, as we all probably have. But I'm going to show you the amendments that I use. So for the first one that I showed you, it's going to be the same as the second, just without soil. So I use very chunky, coarse perlite for it. Probably won't focus on any of them, let's be honest. Cocoa chips. And these are so good because they do hold moisture, and then when the roots grip to all these little amendments, it feeds water out of it for a while, even when it dries out, because it will store some of that water in there. I use a lower grade perlite as well. Of course, charcoal and everything, because charcoal can save your soil mix's life. It absorbs extra moisture that's unnecessary, as well as creates oxygenated, aerated gaps. I said basically the same word twice. So that's horticulture charcoal, and I mean, you can get that everywhere. That's for the second one. So bark. There's two different types of barks you can get. You can get a smaller bark, which is this one. And then you can get these thicker chunked barks. This has also got charcoal chunks in here. I really like the fattiness of this, especially for soil mixes for bigger plants. It really breaks it up in a very, very, very like welcomed way, because you need those roots to continuously get oxygen, or it's gonna rot. It needs that oxygen. And that's the problem with passive hydro, is people will assume it's not going to get oxygen, and it does. It's just it does it in a different way. So, but yeah, the different types of barks, you got these bigger ones and you got these itty bitty small sliced up kind. I use both. I like both. Up to you. And then in all of my mixes, I use rice hull. It is smaller. It does absorb water pretty well, as kind of like charcoal, like they all do really. And so it will store moisture in there. It will feed the plant as well as aerate the plant. So creates really nice drainage spots throughout, like perlite kind of, but just different. And it looks pretty. I like it. And I'm pretty sure there's like a nutrient in it too that is beneficial. I'm not sure on that one, but and then so that's the first one. Well, the first one was, and then you add a little bit of soil. I use either Happy Frog. I will actually mix the two together, believe it or not. And I love the Ocean from Fox Farms. Fox Farms, I love their stuff. I really do. I use their Tiger Bloom, I think it's called, fertilizer sometimes. I haven't recently because I've gotten into newer ones that I like, as well as I've been given a couple different kinds to try out from other places. So I'm giving them a try to see if I notice anything different. But honestly, I fertilize all the time that it's difficult for me to tell if one fertilizer is working better than the other, because like plants are just different. They grow different. I don't really know if it's because the soil or the fertilizer or the change in the season. I cannot really identify that because I'm not the plant. So then my favorite, without the glare, maybe you can see it better if it looks nice. It doesn't look as nice in here as it does in the glass, but you can see the chunk, yeah? Now this is my favorite mix, and I will sell this and list it on my page. I just have to add everything and figure out ounce per price and like how to do that. And I'm not very good at that stuff, I'm not gonna lie. So I have to figure out, you know, what similar things are going for and what my mix would go for and all of that. But if you like the idea of buying my personal mix, let me know, because then you don't have to buy all the bits. You can just buy mine and I will already have it made. If it will freaking focus. And I'll take a video at the end of it just by itself so you can really see, because this is not doing it justice. It is so pretty. But the pieces that make it so pretty that I use zeolite rock, which gives it blue tone. You can't really tell with this light. I'll take a video afterwards. But so it's this little blue lava rock. I don't even think they're lava rocks. Maybe it's a type of lava rock. Hang on. Forgot where I left off, and I am not going to rewatch right now to see where I left off. So one of my favorite things to add in to my passive hydro mixes is vermiculite, mainly because it's pretty. But it does have a lot of benefits. So it is actually really nice to have, and it's pretty inexpensive. So you can put it in any mix that you have, and I do. I put it in everything, literally everything. Every plant mix I have like 3 different types. Or like maybe 4, I don't know. Anyways, I have a lot. And then another one, which I just started using maybe like for 4 months, 3 months, 3, somewhere around there. Anyways, it's tree fern fiber from New Zealand. My phone died because I didn't have storage space. Yeah, seems to be how it goes every time I make a video. I always run out of storage space. It's so much fun. Anyways, so all of these combined creates my bougie setup, and you can kind of see them all here. And I'm going to replant this guy for you guys so you can see. Oh, also, I also add in Myco. This is the one I use. It's an inoculant for roots. It also helps stimulate good growth. I just started using this like a month and a half, 2 months ago, so I'm not like 100% clear on exactly what to expect or what's going to happen. So I am in no way offering advice on that or my experience yet, because I just don't know yet. But if you know, that's awesome. But I've seen a lot of benefits of people using it, especially in passive hydro. It creates a really good environment for your plant, and especially the roots growing healthy, staying the way they need to be, like if they were out in the actual outdoor environment. So it's kind of what made me want to do that. And I have another plant to show you that I have it in. Try not to drop it. And then I will plant one for you that I have to show you how I do it, so that you can kind of see that process and mimic it if need be. Okay, and so right here I have my Florida Beauty. It's a big girl. It's got the most prettiest coloring on it. It's like mints, yellows, greens. This is the new leaf. It's still pretty flimsy. I don't know if it's gonna have variegation. I can see a little bit in there, but I'm kind of leaning more towards that it's not. It did grow an aerial root straight up into the soil here. And by soil, there's no soil. It did grow an aerial root, and it's going down in here. Soon we'll be able to see it down here. You can't really see it. Yeah, there you can see it through the plastic there. And it has a new leaf already right there. It's a bit of a... yeah, I don't know if it's going to have variegation. I bought this on a whim to see if it would, because I really like this leaf for my shelf. So, but this is in a non-soil mix, and it's got a lot of tree fern fiber in there, which is the one I was going to talk about kind of as my like newest additive, if you will. And I actually got the idea from Sydney Plant Guy. I watch his channel a lot. I love his plants. I don't use moss poles. They're not really my thing for planting. He rocks them, and his plants are unbelievably gorgeous. You haven't, I'm assuming if you're on YouTube and you're looking at plant stuff, you've come across his channel. I think it's Sydney Plant Guy or Sydney Plant Guy. Yeah, I think. I've watched all of his videos pretty much, and he started using New Zealand tree fern fiber in his moss poles even, and in his planters where he has like mostly the fern fiber, and then he has it broken up with, of course, your normal amendments like barks and perlites and similar stuff like that you would find in like most chunky mixes, but he's using fern fiber instead of soil. I think that's how he's doing it. Same with his moss poles. And the roots that were growing into it were really pretty. So definitely pick some of this up if you're into the new no soil kick like I am and want to plant that way, because it's definitely, I feel like it's definitely a great way to plant. And as you can see, I've used this entire bag. This is Tazula tree fern fiber. I think I got it on Amazon actually. So I don't think I got it on Etsy. I might have got it on Etsy. I get most of my amendment stuff on Etsy unless it's like bigger produced stuff. Like the vermiculite, I get in this just giant bag. I struggle to find good cocoa chips. I do tend to go to the pet section and get like the smaller. I do have the bag, but I'm not gonna go get it. The pet cocoa chips, so it's just for like your lizard enclosures or reptile enclosures, if you will. And they're soft and they're perfect for what I plant and how I plant. So, you know, why change that? But yeah, so that works really good as well. Barks, I find it hard to trust barks because bark carries a lot of contaminants if it's not treated and if it's not done correctly. Like you might get your bark from Lowe's or Home Depot. You really need to when you get that home, soak it, clean it, and do some sort of systemic treatment on it, because you're going to get gnat eggs most likely. And that is just something I'm not down for. I have enough struggle in my home with gnats and pests that I don't trust big box store additives or amendments, if you will. So, and you're also supporting local shops, or not really local, but like Etsy local, nation local. Oh, Jazz. Anyways, these shops that create these good mixes, like the one that has this stuff, which I have it perfect right here, is perlite, charcoal, and the chunky bark. Now they even state on their page that they clean it and process it well, and that they make sure there's nothing on there, no contaminants, because not about that. And that happens so often. I will open up a bag from like Home Depot before, when I used to use it, and there would just be gnats everywhere, just flying out. Like, ew. And you can do that with your soils as well. Every soil from big box stores is probably going to have the same problem, because they get in there and they just lay eggs and it just explodes. And you can't really do much about it. Unfortunately, that is the problem with this time of year, especially this time of year. You got to just take it and treat it and not get mad at your local plant shops, or even Etsy plant owners, or, you know, small shops. It's just, we're doing our best. You know, I obviously treat for pests, gnats, mites, aphids, thrips, whatever, but sometimes you just can't catch it all, and it just is there. But anyways, I'm going to show you the mix, making it a little bit, and then I'm going to replant this Frideck, variegated Frideck, which I'm actually very nervous about doing. But I don't really want it in this self-watering planter, even though it's very happy. I don't want it in here. I want to put it in here where I can watch how it's growing, like my other one that I threw on the floor. The worst. And then I will know how it's doing, because unfortunately, even though I love these, I cannot see what's going on. And that, with such a high value plant, in my opinion, in my collection, I would prefer to put plants that I don't need to worry as much about seeing those roots in these than like this. So I will depot that and show you guys the process of making that. But yeah, as far as conclusion to the glass planting, you can do passive hydro in glass containers if you want, or you can do it in planters like these. And you're using the same thing, you're just watering it differently, and you're going to fertilize it differently. I fertilize so I will like quarter what it says for a gallon, and I will quarter that, or like a third of that, like amount. Say it says like, I don't know, cap, you know, I will do like a quarter of a cap or a third of it, whatever. And then I will just do a slower but every water fertilization versus like timing it out every 6 months or however long your plant, every plant's different. So I just do a little bit. And that's what they do at bigger greenhouses too, because they can't track everything. And it's just, plants need food, you know, and the continuous uptake of nutrients and food is it's good. You know, mine have not suffered. I don't really have any plant that's declining apart from the one I threw on the floor. They all seem to be doing okay unless I neglect them. And that's not because of a nutrient over nutrient problem or whatever else it could be. It's just, that's the way it is. So let me reposition my phone and get it onto this chair so you can kind of see me do this process. And yeah, we'll see if these roots are dead. So this will be a great time to check if the self-watering planter has rotten my roots, because I've had that happen quite a bit lately and it's been very traumatizing. So we're gonna check on this, okay? Where's my little, I will be back. All right, so hopefully that was helpful for you. Hopefully that answered some questions. I think I covered everything that needed to be covered. I get a lot of like comments sometimes on Instagram from people sending me messages saying, why do you promote that? It's not gonna work, it doesn't work, there's no drain holes. You're gonna kill your plant. Well, I haven't killed a plant yet, and they all thrive. And I see a lot of other content plant makers on here doing the same on their channels, and theirs are fine as well. And I just like I said in a lot of my videos, or like I say in a lot of my videos, Misty, you don't need to do anything that doesn't suit you. Plants are, ma'am, why are you mowing so much? Planting is all, I guess, personal taste, because I can take one plant and I could plant it 20 different ways, and that would be that could be fine for that plant. Like, you know, freaking 5 very, 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 very good beneficial planting methods for that plant, whether it be moss, whether it be straight up lava rock, leca, you name it, soil. I mean, you can do it in any substrate, whatever you're more comfortable with, whatever you are more experienced with. It's your choice. And if you're not comfortable planting like this, don't do it. Don't try it. You know, when I first started it, I was very nervous because I felt very anxious that I didn't know when to water, or if I was doing it correctly, if I was going to kill my plants that I loved. And now I just do it. I just throw it in, and I'm like, if you win, you win. And if you don't, you don't. And I love planting like that. And like I said, most of my plants are planted like this, and they do great. You do sometimes have to water more frequently depending on your home environment. If it dries out more, etc., fans, etc., you need to take into account that your environment is going to be very different from like mine or other plant tea maker YouTubers that post advice. She is shedding. Everybody's experiences are different, and everybody's knowledge is different. I might say something works for me, and it might not work for 300 people. But for me, it's great. You know, it's just find what you love. And also, like, aesthetically, I don't really like soil. It's ugly. And I know that's a stupid reason, but I get super overwhelmingly happy with my plants living in a pretty environment. Oh, so stupid. But that's just how I feel, because I want my plants to be pretty and happy. Yeah. So it really, you need to find your planty vibe, if you will, and just embrace it. Go for it. I do recommend everyone to be using mycorrhizal inoculants. This one is called, they're pretty expensive, but this has lasted me like 100 plants. Not really 100, it's more like 25, but her hair is going on my nose. This was $18. I know for this little bag it seems excessive, but it's still this tall, and it was like this. I feel like I barely used it at all, and I've used a lot of it, if that makes sense. So I definitely think you could put this in any sort of planting. I put it in my soil babies, I put it in my sale babies, I put it in everything, and then I just kind of try my best to keep track of when I'm using granules and stuff, because it does kind of negate the benefits of it, because I think it kills most of it. I don't know, but I think so, if I remember what I read correctly. But that's just what I got from this. So, and like I said, I'm more newer to the use of this specifically, but give it a try. And I wouldn't even give it a try. I would just say go get it. Go get it, use it. It doesn't hurt to use something that's beneficial for your roots. I've been seeing people using inoculants for their roots for forever. And their plants are so healthy and so happy. And even with that, they have decline, and it's just a part of it. But let me know if anyone tries this way of planting, or if there's something I missed and didn't really talk about. Just let me know. If you have any questions, again, just let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I have just shelves and shelves of plants that are planted in similar mediums, so I would say I'm pretty familiar with it and I love it, and I would love to hear if anybody else tries it, or if anybody wants my mix, let me know, because it's so pretty. I love it. But yeah, if anybody wants my mix, I wouldn't mind knowing if there's actually an interest in it, because then I can actually sit down and formulate a plan for getting it on my site, because I don't want to go through all that if nobody's gonna, you know, want it, because there's so many out there. I don't really need to list it unless there's actual interest, because you can get just as good stuff from other people that are on Etsy. So yeah, but I hope you guys have a great weekend. Happy 4th of July. If this comes out before or after, I don't know, but maybe it will be after, sorry. But happy 4th, and hopefully everybody had a safe, fun weekend. And I will be back in a next video. I think I want to talk about corn growing. So look for that if you're interested, and feel free to check out my Instagram. It does showcase a lot of my plants. I'm bad about showing only my favorites, but I do have a lot of plants on there. And that's otaku.plants on Instagram, and I'll probably post it here. And also feel free to check out my Etsy page. I am uploading new plants next week as well, and I just posted some new ones yesterday, I want to say. And I'm getting Florida Ghost and Florida Beauties coming in next week, which I will wait probably 2 or 3 weeks before listing them, but they will be on there soon. So yeah,